Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with ASM2020. Next up, we have Dustforce DX, 80% all levels, new game plus by SRLGrace.
Howdy.
How are you?
Yeah. Going.
Oh, that's something.
Yeah.
I'm ready for a healthy run, so I'm pretty excited about this run. It looks pretty sick.
Yeah, so I'll just do a brief preamble. So Dustforce is a momentum-based platformer where you slam into things and go fast. I'm going to link a paste bin in stream chat that has entirely too much detail about all the really nitty-gritty stuff. I'm still going to be explaining things, but you never know, you might go, oh, what was that thing that I did? It's like, oh, it's that. Cool. Yeah, so I am ready to go whenever everyone else is.
I'm good. I'm pretty sure tech is right to go, so feel free to count yourself in.
Okay, we'll start at 3. And in 3, 2, 1, let's dust. Alright, so, Dustforce. You've got 4 directions, you've got a jump, you've got a dash. You can already see me doing a lot of these things. We're going to be doing a lot of that. So the first thing that I want to bring attention to is that you'll see me dashing in a particular rhythm. We call that dash rhythm. So when you dash, you get set to dash speed, or if you're above dash speed, you maintain that speed. So for the duration of the animation of the dash, I believe. So there's a particular rhythm. It's about 12.6 frames-ish, where you can perfectly preserve all your gained momentum. For most people, it's not particularly easy to get the 12.6, so we usually settle for about 13. So that's that. Now we get to talk about attacks. So there are 2 types of attacks in this game. There are light attacks and there are heavy attacks. Light attacks do 1 damage, heavy attacks do 3. You'll also notice there at the end that I did something we call a super attack. When you gather 100 dust, your character starts glowing, and when your character is glowing, you can do a super attack. That clears a lot of dust and all enemies in a... it's roughly spherical, but I'm sure someone's going to tell me there's a square involved somewhere. So we basically just want to... We want to efficiently clear levels by not doing as much as we need to. Well, no. Words are hard. Each level has an end trigger, so what we want to do is, in this category, we just want to get to the end of the level and clear whatever it is that's keeping us from finishing the level. It's usually a group of enemies, and they're usually at the end of a level. So there's that. You'll already notice that I'm slamming into a bunch of downhill slopes and I'm going incredibly fast. That's just a mechanic of the way that velocity is calculated in this game. So we do it a lot, and it's the easiest way to gain a lot of speed very fast. What else? So you might notice that I'm also doing some double jumps in the air. So this game's got an air charge mechanic. Excuse me, please hit the things through the wall. Thanks. So with an air charge, you can either dash or jump in the air. If you press dash and jump on the same frame, you can do both. So sometimes we need to do that to set up particular movement options. Yep. So just briefly in this level, you'll notice I'm actually using my attacks to gather a bit of dust on my way to the end. As it turns out, cleaning all 5 of these enemies is very slow if you don't use a super attack. So there are some levels like that where we're going to go out of our way to try and build up a super so that we can clear the ending as fast as possible. Alrighty. Aside from that, we just got a bit more slope movement. It's probably a good time to talk about heavy cancelling. So, heavy attacks are much slower than light attacks. However, you can interrupt the end lag, if you will, of the attack by inputting a dash. And then you can start up your next heavy a lot faster. So, it makes it a lot easier to clean enemies that require lots of attacks to clean off. So, I should talk about characters. As you'll notice, I'm mostly playing as Dustgirl, and the red character on your screen right now. Dustman and Dustgirl, the blue one, they are very similar characters. There's a few differences in attack hitboxes. Most of it is not really relevant for a speedrun. There's a few other, like, very minor friction things, but the main difference between the two is that Dustgirl begins her falling animation 2 frames sooner. So on a level like Tunnel's just there, where you start falling at the start of the level, you basically get 2 free frames, and that's cool because we like to go fast. The character on your screen now is Dustkid. We don't use Dustkid very often. Dustkid has... Okay, I finished the level, but I accidentally quick restarted. It's fine. So Dustkid is unique in that her jumps are smaller, her attacks are a lot faster, but she has 2 air charges to make up for her lower jump height. We don't use her that often in this run because her strengths are quite niche compared to the other characters, but there are some times you'll see Dustkid. We need Dustkid for the previous level, not necessarily because she's faster in the level, but as you notice the Nexus movement that I did to get up to Night Temple, I needed to do... So, I haven't talked about ground boosting, but just take me at my word for a sec. We need to do a particular type of ground boost where we preserve enough momentum that we don't need to use our air charge to... And we can go around the Nexus geometry, if you will. Because normally you'd have to go under it and use a bunch of wall dashes, but with Dustkid you can do that. So the other character, the green one, Dustworth, has significantly higher jumps, but has slower attacks. You will see Dustworth a lot if there are any levels that require lots of vertical movement, because he's the fastest at doing that, shockingly. Sometimes you need him for his larger attack radius, like in Shaded Grove. Where am I going? Down there. Like, for example, Ascent. Big vertical level. Let's play Dustworth, because he jumps higher. I know it seems novel, but it does matter sometimes. So in this level, you're already noticing I'm picking up extra dusts because I want a super at the end. There's only one enemy on this level's end trigger, but it is a lot faster to just use a super to reach it than to go over and hit it yourself. It's also a bear, which means it has 9 HP, so that's going to take even more time.
When you're ready, Grace, I'm getting quite a few donos in here. So
yeah, you can go for a little bit.
Perfect. So from the last run, we have $1.69 from Anonymous for Set's Goomba Stomp. So thank you very much for that. And we have $27.34 from Nicholas Conti with no comment, but thank you very much. We also have $22 from Broken Fixie with no comment, so thank you again. And we have $16.65 from Alley Cat and Nico Star saying, "Hey Grace, been looking forward to this run all day. You can heckin' do it." And another
Thanks, Ally.
from Anonymous with no comment. So thank you very much for all the donos, and that's put us over $1,600. So thank you very much,
Woo!
guys.
Let's go, charity. Alright, so there's a few things that have literally just happened, and you're probably like, what? So back in Grass Cave, there's something that we call an invalid tile. There's a few types of tiles where they don't quite work the way they're meant to, so for whatever reason we can just clip out of bounds. once we've clipped out of bounds, most level geometry doesn't matter until you come back into bounds. We also use an invalid tile to get up to this level ruins. There's no actual vertical wall there, but you can still wall jump off it for whatever reason. And it turns out Dustforce has the perfect jump height to just land on it every single time. So that's cool. We also did a combat level, Wild Den. So in each hub, there are 4 major hubs. I haven't got around to that, but there are 4 major hubs. And we're getting close to the end of the first one. Hold on a sec. I need to just get beaten up for a second. Alright, cool. Yeah, so each level has a combat level. So in those levels, the end trigger is every single enemy in the level. So you have to clear out all of them as quickly as you can. What else have I not talked about yet? Probably a lot of things, but I'm not even looking at my notes because I have to look at the game. So I suppose this is a good time to talk about the ground boosting that I kind of fobbed up earlier. So sometimes you'll notice me on flat ground doing a short hop into preferably a dash jump. So the way that the velocity is calculated in this game, it transfers your velocity depending on your angle of incidence to the ground. So we can set that up in such a way that we can actually get a good enough angle that we can preserve some of that speed on the ground. So it's a bit above normal dash rhythms, normal dash speed. So we use that a lot on long flat levels. It's also worth noting that Dustman and Dustgirl have better ground boosting speeds. So that's why we want to tend to use those two on more flat levels. Alright, so we've just gone into Mansion, the second hub. This is basically Dustworth's playground. There are a lot of vertical levels. Hello, please. We use Dustworth a lot here because most of the levels are pretty vertically inclined. There's a few things otherwise. I thought of something, then I forgot it. I love playing this game because there's actually quite a bit of tech that you see me use, and I don't really talk about it at the right times. I suppose I can talk about that input display at the bottom of the screen. So, pick the right character first. So, you'll notice that it has all of the actions that I'm doing. There's one there that I haven't talked about yet, and it's called down dashing, and we use down dashing in ground boosting to set up those particular angles. But down dashing doesn't require an air charge, so we use it. Be nice if I hit the thing. So we use it to set up ground boosts, but sometimes. So the other thing about down dashing is it automatically sets you to terminal velocity. The other thing about Dustman and Dustgirl is they both have a higher terminal velocity while falling. Dustworth and Dustkid have the same, but it's slow. The same ones compared to each other, but it is slower. So in levels where we need to fall as well, like, we want to use Dustman or Dustgirl unless the level is also, like, very vertical. Oh. Okay. Apparently I missed that one. Alright, so now we're in Night Hall. Night Hall is a very flat level. I've just been talking about ground boosting, so we're going to do a lot of that. So, the different characters have different particular ground boost setups. Dustman and Dustgirl is a short hop into a dash jump. That gets you the best angle. You kind of still get a boost if you only jump, but it's not quite as large, so it's preferred if you can do that properly. Dustworth is just 2 quick jumps and a down dash into the ground boost. And Dustkid is very awkward, and I'm not entirely sure how to explain Dust Kid's ground boosts, but I know how to do them. Okay. Mention heavy cancelling. Did that. I think I've actually covered pretty much everything at this point. The one thing that I haven't covered, and you would have seen me do it in the Nexus movement in Forest, is you may have noticed that I landed on a spike, and I just jumped off it as if the spike didn't exist. So hitboxes in this game are quite interesting, and it's also to do with state changes, but there's a lot of technical details, but basically, not quite, but basically, if you hold down on it, if you hold down and jump while landing on a 45-degree slope, whether it's spiked or not, you're going to do a slope jump. If there's spikes on it, we call it a spike jump. We use that quite a bit to take some paths that weren't particularly intended. It comes up much later in the run when there's even more spikes. But yeah, I didn't talk about how you can climb up walls and stuff, but you've seen lots of wall climbing. You can also run on ceilings. There's ceiling runs. They set you to, I think it's dash speed. The wall runs decay, but yeah. This is my favorite trick. It's tower climb. We just get to do a bunch of weird little corner boosts on ceilings because you get a lot of speed if you jump out of them. In this level, that's what I haven't talked about. So, this game doesn't have any RNG. It's all deterministic. If you do the exact same thing every time, you're going to get the same result every time. So there's one caveat. Cycles only... cycles only start occurring once you're within a certain distance. I'm not sure if it's constantly the same. It doesn't matter what level, but it might be camera-based. I don't remember off the top of my head, but... So, in that last level tower, there is a very important cycle that we have to hit. So, we have to hit the ground boost at the start. Otherwise, we're not going to get up there because the gargoyle that we used to climb up won't be in that position and we won't be able to hit it. Also, there's nothing wrong with your audio. This level has no music. Yeah, so Ghost Parapets is just basically get to the end. Oh boy. Get to the end and don't fall off, like most levels. It's preferred if you can get a super for the end of this level before that. I just kind of flubbed that a little bit, but it's okay. Alright, so there's a... Hopefully it doesn't come into play, but there's a weird little bit of tech on wall climbs. I think we're calling it dead leg. So if you slide down to the bottom of a wall, but there's spikes at the bottom, as long as you're holding up, you're gonna go back up and start a new wall climb. But you're also gonna get your air charge back. That's usually not particularly relevant, but sometimes that level goes wrong and you need to save it, and that's how you do it. Because you don't get a chance to get your air charge back otherwise. Oh, that's the other thing. So air charges, you regain an air charge when you land on the ground, so that's why that little dead leg thing works. But you also get your air charge back when you clear an enemy, or if you use a super, like I'm about to do here. So sometimes we don't actually want to use a super to clear enemies, we just want another air charge. So we call those empty supers. They're very quick if you're not hitting enemies. Obviously, the more enemies you hit, the longer that's going to take. So yeah, at this point, I think I've covered pretty much everything. Also, I am vaguely looking at chat. Game is... You definitely need a tolerance to dealing with all the inputs. Also, I did not do the right thing at the start of that level. Some levels, like Caverns, you can actually go over the top. In this case, it's actually significantly faster, because there's a lot of level down there that I'm going to just ignore. If we've got any announcements or anything, now's a pretty good time, honestly.
Excellent. So no donos in at the minute, but just like to remind everyone that we are Oz Speedruns, a group doing speedrun marathon benefiting Beyond Blue. Beyond Blue is an organisation helping combat many mental health issues as well as the stigma attached to those issues. Many of us have been affected by anxiety and depression, either personally or through family and friends or colleagues. Right now, over 1 million people in Australia experience depression, and 2 million are experiencing anxiety. On average, 8 people take their lives every day in Australia. So that is who we're here benefiting with this charity speedrun marathon. So if you would like to get some donations in and help this wonderful charity, then please send them in. And of course, don't forget to put in an incentive in your comment and we can get some new games into the marathon, like Tony Hawk's Underground 2, which is only $29.90 away from being run. So we're not too far off getting that into marathon, as well as file names for Pokemon and Legend of Zelda. There's heaps of incentives, so just type ! incentives in chat and a list will come up for your donations. So get them in, guys.
Yeah, do contribute if you can. Like, I know I personally struggle with depression and a little bit of anxiety, and it's okay to get help. Like, you're not weak. You're not, you know, like.
Hey man, that's exactly why I put my hand up to do so much hosting. I mean, I didn't put a game in this marathon, but I was like, I'll help out any way I can. Beyond Blue's been great. I've personally used them before, so it's not a bad thing to talk about these things, and that's half the issue, is the stigma attached to these issues. So
yeah, exactly.
You know, everyone can use help. You might not need it now, but you might need it in the future. If you don't need it now, it could be your best friend that needs them right now. So if you do have the ability, please donate, guys.
Alright, so we're coming up to a level called Landfill. So I'm picking Dustkid here for a very important reason. So we're going to do another clip out of bounds using an invalid tile. And then we just kind of hit a few dust blocks off screen and oh look, we're done. So it is faster to use that clip than a different clip that actually goes through the main part of the level. You'll also notice that I knew when the level ended when the level slowdown occurred. So there's something that you can do that is called early exiting. So if you're in the middle of certain actions, you can leave a level early. The game itself will still count it, but the replay won't be validated on the in-game leaderboards. So if you're early exiting and you're doing a run, you just have to be able to show that you did the level, which if you're recording it or something, you've done that. So yeah, so I don't do a lot of early exits because I have lots of bad habits from just playing this game, so it's fine though. We're just going to go up this one tile wide gap by just spamming a wall jump. As it turns out, that's the fastest way to go up, so we just do that. So what I just did there is technically something we call a terror drop. It will be much more obvious later that that's what happens, but basically you just kind of fall down a long area. Scaffolding is man. So this is one of the few times I actually intentionally play Dustman, because he gets a much better setup on that first boost that you land from, whereas Dustgirl's earlier falling frames makes it a bit more awkward to get a good boost out of there.
I've got a couple of donations if you've got some time there, Grace.
Yep, go for it.
Perfect. So we have $22 from Buddy Cart saying, great to see Aussie speedrunners coming together for a great cause. I'd like to put this to the Tony Hawk's Underground 2 incentive, which does push us to only $6.90 away from meeting Tony Hawk's Underground 2 being into the marathon. And we have $5.61 from Calamar Cat saying on Percy's behalf, Illy Grace, XOXOXOXOXO.
Oh dear. Thank you, Kat. And I do see you, Percy. Love you. I have been missing that dash jump for a while. It's kind of awkward because it's required for that particular part of the level. Alrighty. So this is where the game starts. It doesn't start liking you. So this is Clock Tower. There are no checkpoints in this level. If you die, you're going back to the start. Also, there's no ground. So we gotta just go up the wall. You can play either Dustkid or Dustworth on this level. I picked Dustkid because she's got better air control. Also for the Nexus movement, it's a little bit easier to... Oh, never mind. Never mind, we're gonna do that one again. There we go. But then we get to go into Concrete Temple, which, oh boy, is probably one of the easier parts of this little mini section. We're gonna do a few things with that weird hitbox of our leg. So just there, you notice I climbed up the edge of a spike block. That's because Dustworth manages to get just enough height to do that. Whoop. Okay. This trash can's annoying. Let's get rid of it. I also, for the life of me, never realized that you're actually meant to just continually light attack that to get over the gap in for S completion. I suppose I should talk about category differences. Also, don't worry about that spike stand. It's the same dead leg thing. So the category I'm running is 80% all levels, New Game Plus. So in this game, when you clear a level, you get 2 ranks. You get a score rank, which is based on the amount of dust that you've got in a level. If you get an S, you have all the dust. And there's a finesse rank, which is basically how many times you drop your combo. So if you get hit a bunch, you drop your combo. You die, you drop your combo. So for any percent, we don't worry about those. There is a category called SS All, where you need to get an SS rank on every level. It is very, very hard. There was a run at, I think it was SGDQ 2016 of SS All. If you haven't watched that, like, do yourself a favor and please go watch it. It is worth your time. So this is the level everyone does not like when they're playing through this game. This is Hideout. There are spikes everywhere, so as it turns out, it's very good for some spike jumps. But there is not enough dust to get a super. You would love a super at the end of this level. But there's only like 70 or so dust. And as precise as those 1 square wide platforms look, it's actually in your best interest to go as fast as you can over them instead of trying to precisely land on them. That's because, for whatever reason, it just seems to work out that it's easier. I don't understand it either, but it's a thing. Like, seriously, try if you're having trouble with Hideout, just try to go a little bit faster. And you'll find that it's a lot easier. Alright, so the little mini gauntlet is over. We're going into some slightly simpler and easier levels. I suppose this would be a decent time to talk about more things about ceiling runs. So, not like that though. So, I didn't do one there, but you can do something that we call a mapler. So, walls are a little bit magnetic in this game, and so are ceilings. So, you can cling to a ceiling for about, 10 frames, 15 if you're Dustman. And in that time, you can start a ceiling run by pressing a direction. You can functionally get a bit of extra distance by delaying the actual ceiling run. We don't use it often. It's pretty much just Forgotten Tunnel that we just did that uses a mapler. Another thing that I should have talked about ages ago is how we go over ledges. So you'll notice that a lot of the time I'm down dashing when I'm going over the top of a ledge. That's so that I can get control back faster and start another dash. That obviously means we can go a little bit faster. So that's only the case if I don't have an air charge. If I have an air charge, then I can do something that we call a mantle. And a mantle is literally just using your air charge as you're going over the lip. You immediately transition into a ground state, which means you get your air charge back sooner, so you can start doing more things. Yeah. So there's that. We're in the 4th hub now. I completely glossed over the fact that we finished City. Whoops. So, that's not a down heavy. So, after this hub, we're going to go up to the final hub of sorts of the game. It's the difficults, which almost like it's named to be difficult. I know it's a wild fort, but Titan's Girl. I am getting ahead of myself. This is just another fun ground boosty level. Like, you notice those types of levels that just have some slopes, like, you go quite fast and they're surprisingly satisfying to do. So here's security. So the way that you land on slopes can determine the way that your momentum goes. If you do it like I did and you just kind of slam into the floor there, that doesn't really work. So we try not to do that, but the other thing about that level is those enemies at the end are actually very well spaced apart, that if you're late to that cycle, you can miss one of them, which costs you time because you have to go out of your way then to clean it. You really do not want to go do that. It is slow and it feels really bad. Oop. You can actually hit that wall. I just clipped the underside of it. Whoops. What's after research? Oh, okay. So I get to talk about those. So the movement that I did up to Night Temple earlier, we do the same premise here, where we just get a bit of a ground boost, and we use the fact that once you leave the ground, it preserves your momentum a lot better for whatever reason. There is one small caveat to that. We don't like to talk about it, but for whatever reason, left air friction is stronger than right air friction. Well, we know why. It's because it's trying to make the value go closer to a positive value instead of the negative value, or something to that effect. Fortunately, oh wow, that's a bad death. I down dashed just a smidge early. Ground friction, thankfully, does not have this problem, so you get to go just as fast in either direction. But yeah, I think it's just one sign just misdone a little bit. This game has some very interesting, weird little quirks. Like we discovered spike jumping in the pre-DX update, and the devs were like, cool. They didn't patch it out. They were just like, alright, we'll keep it. Because it makes some... Oh boy. Okay. Let's just do a spike jump to save that. Don't worry about it. So this is another level a lot of people get stuck on. This is backup shift. So in this level, this is basically your introduction to something called hit rise. Whenever you hit an enemy, you move up very slightly. It's this little tunnel here where you have to very carefully manage your hit rise. Don't worry about it. We can use the little block on the roof to line us up for a perfect set of spike jumps, so that we can not do that for any percent. Trust me, that level is a pain. But now we come to... oh boy. Here's containment. Containment sucks. It's Lab's combat level, and the optimal strat is to get hit a lot of times and not careen too far off to the point where you don't get your super. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in Overgrown Temple, but every time that you get hit, you get 5 dust towards your special meter. So sometimes we just want to get hit a bunch to get a super instead. We're going to do it again here. Slime golems, for whatever reason, you hit them with an attack and they turn around to meet you. So thanks, buddy. We really don't want to go around the intended path of this level, so we're just going to hit the enemy through the wall with our super. Don't worry about it. Alright. Access is pretty simple. There's something right up in this thing that I'm coming up to. It's a particular set of geometry. Oh, look, I got the boost. It's an access boost, but it's the only main level that has that particular geometry. You can go slightly faster if you hit it. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I saved it. It's fine. Alright, Core Temple. Core Temple is it's a simple enough level. Okay, that's definitely not how you do that. Who knew? Down dashing into the void gets you killed. So the first half of the level is fairly standard. We just go through it. We're going to use another invalid tile to kind of wedge our way through some level geometry. Again, don't worry about it. It's fine. First off, we're going to do a little bit of weird movement there, and then we're just going to go through there. Again, don't worry about it. We're just going to go through that gap because there's enough room to go through there. And, oh look, we're at the end of the level. Cool. Alright. Now'd be a good time if you've got any plugs, any donos. Because we just got 2 more levels before difficulties, and I'm probably going to either talk a lot or not talk a lot.
That's fine. No donos coming in at the moment, but just want to let people know that there is plenty of incentives open at the moment to chuck your donations towards. And we are only $6.90 away from adding Tony Hawk's Underground 2 to the marathon, as well as Aggie's run after the Tony Hawk block. You get to choose the category, whether it's any % no out of bounds or all memories, both sitting at $0. So if you do want to see either one of those runs, feel free to chuck your donations towards them.
So one little trivia bit that I like to sometimes say, it's it's a case of the left air friction. So Dustforce has significantly worse ground boosting, and it's actually really hard to get into Dome from the level I'm in now from the side that I just came from. It is possible, but it is not intuitive. Alright, so that's the last level of the main Nexus. We just kind of back out and then we go up here. The difficulties are nice and out of the way. In the base game, you would need all 16 red keys by getting SS in all the levels. But we're playing any percent, so we don't have to do that. Alright, so difficulties. You will already notice there are so many spikes. These levels are not friendly. Yep. It's basically, I hope you know how to, like, this is the point in the game where the devs expect you to have a bit more of a grasp on everything, and that includes air control, which thankfully is not particularly relevant in any percent. Alright, so this is Terra difficult. I mentioned Terra drops earlier. There are spikes there, don't worry about it. No. So there's about I've heard it's about 4 units wide window where you can just fall through those types of geometry. We don't question it. It makes the level significantly easier and faster. There is a way to buffer it, but you use Dustgirl, and I could never learn the buffer, so we don't do that. We also just had 2 very quick levels because we could immediately access the end prisms. I'm gonna weenie out of the really jumpy strat. We can take a slightly less intended path. Yeah, that's fine. Let's do that. Ooh. Alrighty. Didn't mess up Giga, and will probably mess up Peta, just because why not? So, this is a level where most people play Dustforce. There's a... Did I talk about Death Warps? We did one in Moon Temple. There's a checkpoint on that block just above me there. Most people use Dustworth. You go up there and you go around. I'm just going to go through some spikes as Dust Kid instead. I should actually talk about Death Warps a little, so... Because we're going to get another one in the final level, which is really cool. So, there are checkpoints. Checkpoints can... how do I describe it? Checkpoints are not in a single space. A single area of space, I should say. They can extend in different directions and for differing sizes. So, for some of them, we want to hit those while we're hitting a death plane, and that'll put us to where that checkpoint is. The small thing that I didn't mention in Moon Temple is that you lose all your dust when you do that type of death warp. So, whoops. But for the one that we're doing, it's right at the start of the level, so we're not going to worry about it. Zeta slopes are
a couple of donos coming in, Grace, when you're ready.
Yeah, I can. So we're on to the last level. It's going to be about a minute and a half, so feel free.
Okay, cool. So just quickly from Samuel Danby saying, you guys are crushing it, such an important cause, big respect. Less than 3 giving $21.62. Rizaha giving $11.31. Never did I think cleaning could be so entertaining. Good luck to all. And Fish gave $10.95 saying, filling the dono gap a little. So thank you very much, guys. Appreciate all of it.
Alright. So this is Yoda. We get to do another Terra drop here because fun. So I have a little bit of a backup strat for something coming up. I'm going to go for it once or twice. can I hit this Terror Drop though? There we go. So this section here, I want to hit this. I can do that. Oh, look at that. Perfect. So I intentionally get a super as the backup there because it is surprisingly easy to hit yourself on the spikes above you when you're doing the second spike jump. We're going to do a bunch more spike jumps. So you notice on my input viewer that I'm actually buffering a spike jump there. If we just do that setup, you will always land on that checkpoint that I landed on. If you're doing an IL, obviously, you probably don't want to do that because you should be just landing on the Zeta slopes instead and skipping the checkpoint. But for a full game run, it's actually kind of handy. Oh boy. Oh, well, no music. The music trigger is weird around that checkpoint. Oh well, we get to... Oh, whoops. Oh no. Accidentally hit the restart. It's fine. We'll just do the level again. We've got time, right? Oh dear. I did not do this setup right. I'm pretty sure I did this the last time I ran this game as well. I just accidentally hit the restart button right at the end of Yoda, and it's like, cool. Although I feel like this run's been pretty good, so I think I've got the time to burn. What are we at? Do you know?
Yeah, we're at 45.
45? Yeah, we should be fine. If I can hit this Terror Drop again. There we go.
What's the pixel range on that drop there? Pixel perfect?
It's 4 units, I've heard. It's about 4 units for that Terror Drop there.
Oh, right, it looks very precise.
It is fairly precise, yes. And that one doesn't... I haven't found a good setup for it, so you get to do that right at the end of a run. Woo boy. The thing I didn't talk about this jump is we normally call it blind drop, and the accepted method is usually to just mash left and right a bit to kill your momentum and you land on the platform, but I found that buffer before my PAX run, like, it's a few years ago now, but it was like, huh, that works. Neat. I love when that happens. You just accidentally find something.
I think an accidental setup for something is like other people use it as well. It's just golden. I love that feeling.
Yeah, like I actually had someone come into my stream when I was doing some commentary testing. Also, time is now. Sorry. All right, so that's the run. Sick. But yeah, I had someone come into my stream, one of the usual community members, and they're like, "There's a buffer for that?"
Yeah, brilliant.
Alrighty.
Can we get some clappers in chat for Grace? That was a sick run. There is no way on earth I could possibly do half of what you just did, so that's nuts. Well done.
Thank you. Just one quick plug at the end. If you like this game, if you think this game looks cool, yeah, I see you. I see you people. You can find it on most online storefronts. We've got a community Discord that you can access through the speedrun.com page. We've also got many custom maps. We've got a thing that we call Dust Mod, where it's just a bunch of quality of life things and some more extra content for you. So if it looks interesting, please give it a shot. The game is pretty good about giving you a lot of, like, here is this thing, figure it out, and then the level that you get into with that knowledge uses that again. So anyway,
so just in chat right now, it says the game is $7 on Steam in the summer sale right now. So if you are keen,
well, there you go. Like, go for it. If it looks remotely interesting, I honestly suggest giving it a shot. Give it some time. It is not going to click immediately, unfortunately, but I think it's worth it. Alright, I'm done here. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Grace.
Yeah,
we
all good.
Appreciate it. And thank you very much, guys. We will be back very shortly with Shin Megami Tensei. I'm Darmsy. We'll see you shortly.